Okay, so after a month of using the OnePlus 10 Pro, I finally got its first software update. Now, this specific update targeted system stability, network stability, and made sure to improve its cameras. So let's talk about it. Now, if this is your first time watching my videos, please do consider subscribing, as I'm trying to get to 50K by the end of the year. We're getting there slowly but surely, and trust me, you're not going to want to miss out on future videos. But yeah, let's quickly go over the OnePlus 10 Pro specs real quick. Now, just like Samsung's S22 or Oppo's Find X5 Pro, the OnePlus 10 Pro is equipped with Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Gen 1. It has 8 gigs of RAM, just like the S22 I reviewed a couple weeks ago. And here in the US, you can actually only pick up the OnePlus 10 Pro with 128 gigs of storage, which is kind of a bummer. Now, this also packs a huge 5,000 milliamp hour battery, which we'll definitely talk more later in the video. Now, up front, you have a 6.7 inch QHD AMOLED display with 120 Hz refresh rate that also features LTPO, so you can basically get as low as 10 Hz to save on battery life. Alright, now let's talk about that update that OnePlus just pushed out to the 10 Pro here in the US. First, system stability. Now, before the update, and I actually confirmed this with a few other friends who had the global and international version of the 10 Pro, that yeah, the overall UI and day-to-day usage for them wasn't as smooth as other flagships that have similar specs. So one thing in particular that I do have to point out is scrolling through certain apps or even just accessing Google Now. Is that what it's called, by the way? But basically, when I would start scrolling really fast, it still feels a little laggy and unresponsive, as if the screen would dip back down to 60 Hz, even though I've set it to 120 Hz. And it happens with most apps that I use on a daily basis too, like YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and Chrome. Now, sometimes I can tell that there's some sort of input or UI lag, but then after about a second or two, it would act normal all of a sudden and the problem's gone. Now, after the update that I just got on the 10 Pro, it feels like the overall phone just feels more responsive. I haven't really noticed any improvements when gaming, but in the past few weeks that I have used the phone, I never really had issues when I'm gaming. And I actually try not to play too much on my phone just because I have a PS5, I have a gaming PC, but when I do, I don't really notice any frame rate issues or overheating with the 10 Pro. I think OnePlus did a really good job with their new cooling system on this phone. It doesn't get as warm as the last phone that I was using, which is the Galaxy S22, but yeah, overall performance is solid, and if you've ever had issues with inconsistent frame rates or UI lag throughout the system, this latest update should fix that. Alright, now before we move on to the next set of bug fixes, I actually want to quickly thank Dbrand for sponsoring a portion of this video. If you know about OnePlus, then you gotta know Dbrand by now. But in case you don't, Dbrand makes the best and most precise skins for your OnePlus 10 Pro and other tech products. Even though I have this really nice green colored 10 Pro, they sent me their teardown skins, which gives your phone this unique look that makes it look like your phone is transparent. It comes in an ultra matte or glossy finish, but they also have 100% full grain leather available, which feels really soft and smells really good too. I know, it's a little weird, but if you want to support this channel, you can check out Dbrand by using the first link below, or go to dbrand.com/heymarkel. Alright, now one of the other things that OnePlus did address with this latest update is that whenever you're on your mobile networks data, sometimes you actually won't get an internet connection or just completely boot you off your data, and you gotta like turn on and off your mobile data in the quick settings. That's been fixed, which is nice. Now, if you're in the US and you're planning on picking up the OnePlus 10 Pro, you may want to be careful, because I'm pretty sure that the 10 Pro's 5G band only works on T-Mobile, and recently Verizon C-band 5G. So if you're on AT&T, you probably won't get 5G and could potentially have issues with your mobile data connection. So if you want the best compatibility, make sure you're on T-Mobile or any of the other mobile virtual network providers that works with T-Mobile and Verizon, like Boost, Metro, or even Mint Mobile. Now, battery life is about the same as before. You can expect the OnePlus 10 Pro to get around 7 hours of screen on time, maybe a little bit more depending on what you're doing. But on average, you can expect around 7 to 7.5 hours of screen on time and over 17 plus hours of usage. But then again, this all really depends on what you're doing on your phone and whether you have the phone in QHD Plus or in Full HD Plus at 120 Hz. Now in the changelog, OnePlus did also mention that the fingerprint authentication on this phone actually has gotten better, which I'm really happy about because no matter how many times I redid the setup, it's just not as fast as the one on the Galaxy S22. This one is kind of in the same realm as the Pixel 6 before the update that it got, and when I did get the update on the OnePlus 10 Pro, it might have gotten a smidge faster, but it's still inconsistent, so just be aware of that. Lastly, let's talk about the cameras. Now, I didn't get to make a proper full-on review for the 10 Pro when it was announced for the Chinese market, and even when it was announced for the North American market, I wasn't able to give you guys my first impressions right away since I actually wanted to wait and spend some time with the phone and get its first update. And now that I did get that first software update, OnePlus did make some improvements to the overall camera. First, they optimized focus on slow motion videos, which is really nice. They've also made some improvements in portrait mode and fixed white balance issues for the front-facing camera. All good things to have optimized for sure. But let's talk more about the cameras and its overall performance. So the OnePlus 10 Pro is equipped with a 3-camera setup, a 48 megapixel wide camera, a 50 megapixel ultra wide camera, and a rather low megapixel count for its telephoto at 8 megapixels. Now, just like last year's 9 Pro, OnePlus is still working with Hasselblad to give OnePlus users a taste of that Hasselblad color science. So what's new for this year is the 2nd generation Hasselblad camera, which gives you enhanced noise reduction and higher dynamic range. And I'm pretty sure that this is only available on the main wide camera because it's only optimized for that custom Sony IMX789 sensor that they have on here. So how do the photos look? Now, when you're using the main wide camera, the pictures look amazing. Shots look sharp, but not overly sharpened like other Android flagships. The colors look really balanced and not super saturated. And just like I said with the Oppo Find X5 Pro, it's kind of a mix between a Pixel and an iPhone, if I'm being honest. But probably my favorite feature on the OnePlus 10 Pro's camera this year are the master filters, which are basically filters that OnePlus and Hasselblad created for this phone. And what's cool about these master filters, it's kind of an artistic filter, so you can just shoot and upload right away to social if you'd like. Instead of adjusting the contrast and saturation, you're getting more of an artistic filter applied to your final image. Now, going back to the cameras though, when it comes to the ultra wide, it's pretty good. I think it's one of the better ultra wide cameras I've used because colors and details aren't too over processed, if that makes any sense. There's a good amount of detail or sharpness in the photo. The color difference between the main wide camera and the ultra wide isn't that drastic. And when it comes to low light performance on that ultra wide, I'd say it's okay. It's not as good as the S22 or the Pixel 6 ultra wide camera, but it's passable. Now, the 3.3x telephoto does a good job with a ton of light, but when you get indoors in less ideal lighting, it kind of struggles to focus and your pictures don't look as good as the main wide camera. Overall, the 2 wide cameras are good and the telephoto is just okay. I still think that the OnePlus 8 Pro had the best cameras in a OnePlus device. It was just all around a really good phone with a great set of cameras. But yeah, that's the OnePlus 10 Pro in a nutshell. After the initial update, it performs just as well, if not better than most flagships with similar specs. Oxygen OS proves to be the cleanest skin, I guess you could say, and offers a good amount of customizations out of the box. Battery life is great, the speakers and the display is awesome on the OnePlus 10 Pro. Even though it's not considered a flat display, it's not as curved as most flagships in this price range with similar screen sizes. Now, the cameras are a little bit 50-50 for me. Personally, I love the wide and ultra wide camera, but I feel like that they totally skimped out on the telephoto camera like last year's 8 megapixel sensor. Now, the 3.3x zoom is just okay, and I feel like with Hasselblad's branding, you'd probably want to have all 3 cameras to support that Hasselblad color science, which, like I said earlier, I'm pretty sure only works on the main wide camera. But until that happens, the collaboration between Hasselblad and Oppo, and I guess OnePlus 2, is just a big marketing push at this point. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching this video. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. The goal is to get to 50,000 subscribers by the end of this year, and I'm sure with your help, we can get there faster. Anyways, I hope you all enjoy this video, and yeah, I'll see you all in the next one.